Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for yet another season of Pokemon Draft League here. It is time for PWC Season 12. We are back once again for another season of PWC, and I just finished drafting my team. We all just finished our drafts, and so in this video, I'm going to be just sitting here talking about my team, talking about all of the picks that I made. I'm just going to sit here and talk at you about sort of the strategy of why I picked all of these Pokemon and my, overall vision for the design of this Draft League team. So sit back, relax, while I talk at you for a while. Instead of going through sort of pick by pick individually, I'm just presenting you the whole team up front so you can see it, and then I'll talk about individual mons as I focus on them, but I think it's easier to just present it this way so you can just see the whole team, and it's easier to visualize and compare how the team synergizes with itself. So this is my team. First thing I want to note here is this is PWC Season 12. This is now my 5th season, I believe, competing in PWC, and the thing that makes PWC unique from all other Pokemon leagues that I've ever seen is they have this unique rule called the Signature Pokemon Rule. The Signature Pokemon Rule means that at the beginning of the draft, you must draft a Pokemon 6 points or below, so you must draft a low-tier Pokemon at the beginning of the draft as your signature Pokemon, and it must come every single week. So you must bring a designated low-tier Pokemon every single week. I think it's a really unique rule. It's part of the reason why I keep coming back and playing PWC. I enjoy the Signature Pokemon rule. It's a unique way to play the draft format, and I think making low-tier Pokemon work is part of what makes the draft format so fun to play, and so PWC does it really well with the Signature Pokemon rule. And this season, as you can see here, my signature Pokemon is none other than Omastar. Alright, I'm super excited for Omastar. The overall theme for this team is really just make Omastar work and put some respect on Omastar's name. Okay, it's been, I'm not just talking about the Draft League community here. I'm talking about the Pokemon community as a whole. Okay, we really need to put some respect on Omastar's name because, listen, Omastar is a Gen 1 OG. People forget Omastar has been here since the beginning, alright? And I know, look, I think a lot of times Omastar gets maybe overshadowed by Kabutops, the other fossil who you could argue has a better design than Omastar. You could argue that. And then there's also Aerodactyl in the mix, which steals a little bit of the spotlight too. Okay, so Omastar has some tight competition, but we cannot sit here and pretend like Omastar is a badly designed Pokemon, okay? We can't pretend that Omastar has a poor design. I think Omastar has a great design. I actually think Omastar is a really cool, really well-designed Pokemon, and we need to respect that, alright? And so, all jokes aside here, I think Omastar actually will be a really good signature Pokemon. I think it actually has a lot of versatility, and people kind of, overlook it a lot of times. I never really see anyone draft it. But for a signature Pokemon in PWC, I think it makes a lot of sense, actually. So, what can Omastar do? Well, right off the bat, let's address the elephant in the room here. This is a rain team, okay? I drafted a rain team. We have Pelipper to set up the rain with Drizzle, so Omastar can take advantage of Swift Swim, which is going to be great. For a signature Pokemon, having an option to take advantage of all of its tools is really what you want. So when I'm drafting a team around Omastar, I definitely want to have Rain because I want to be able to take advantage of Swift Swim when I need it. 55 speed is not super fast, right? But when you double it, it's faster than pretty much everything except Dragapult. So it can actually be pretty fast. Of course, fast Choice Scarf Mons will still outspeed Omastar in Swift Swim. But we know that, and that forces prep. My opponents have to, maybe are going to be forced to bring more faster Choice Scarfers because they want to check a Swift Swim Omastar, right? So I can know that and I can work with that. And 115 base special attack is solid. This thing gets good coverage moves in Ice Beam and Earth Power. Ice Beam and Earth Power is like all you really need in coverage moves. It hits pretty much everything. Not to mention Water Stab boosted in the rain. Unfortunately, Omastar's best rock stab is Ancient Power, which isn't great, but it does get Meteor Beam, so we can run potentially Power Herb Meteor Beam, which is cool. But Swift Swim aside, like, Omastar doesn't need Swift Swim to be good. Omastar learns Shell Smash, which is another set entirely, which can be great for me. Shell Smash, having a signature Pokemon that is a good Shell Smasher is so good because that's also going to force a lot of prep for my opponents. Like I said, 55 speed, not fast, but when you double it with Shell Smash, you kind of have to bring a Choice Scarfer to be able to revenge kill it, right? And that's the thing, is Omastar also has another ability, Weak Armor, okay? And Weak Armor goes great with these Shell Smash sets, because if you hit Omastar with a contact move, that also doubles its speed. So if you get a Weak Armor boost and double your speed, and then double your speed again with Shell Smash, Omastar is pretty much faster than everything. There's no outspeeding Omastar at that point. And it can just run away with a game after a Shell Smash and a Weak Armor boost. So that's really good. I think Weak Armor sets Omastar aside from like a lot of other Shell Smashers. Similar to Poltegeist. Poltegeist also gets Weak Armor. It can just run away with a game. And, you know, Omastar Rock Water is not a great typing, right? But because it's my signature Pokemon, I can Terrastalize it. And as a Terra Captain, being able to Terra out of my Water Rock typing is just going to be really good. It's going to help me get safer Shell Smash opportunities. So I think a lot of different Terra types can work here. You know, for one, like, just running Terra Water is going to be really good. Water by itself is a good defensive typing. And if I'm running a Swift Swim set with Omastar in the rain, and I run Terra Water, like those Terra Water boosted, rain boosted Surfs are going to hurt, right? And so that's going to be really good. I think Terra Water will be really good. I can also run Terra Ground to boost my Earth powers and prevent Omastar from being checked by electric types, which is pretty good. I could also run something like a Terra Flying. Terra Flying can allow me to resist stuff like grass, fighting, ground that I'd normally be weak to, and potentially give me a safe Shell Smash opportunity. So just using a defensive Terra to get a Shell Smash off safely can be really good. So yeah, that's really what Omastar can do. And I also want to note that, like, even if I don't want to run one of these like offensive Omastar sets, it has base 125 defense. So like I can run a bulky, even like defensive Omastar, and that can work too with a defensive Terra type. I can Hazard Stack with Omastar. It gets Stealth Rock, Spikes, and Toxic Spikes, which is really good. So and maybe even just run it with an AV to boost both my defenses. It can be solid with that too. So with all that being said, like, I think Omastar is actually a really versatile Terra Captain. Like, my opponents are going to have to, one, think about Shell Smash, always going to have to prep for Shell Smash, and they're also going to have to prep for Rain, because I can do either Swift Swim or Shell Smash, right? So I think that's really good. That's going to be my signature. Ooh. Okay, so the next Pokemon I want to talk about real quick is Pelipper. We're going to jump to Pelipper here. So Pelipper, obviously, this is a rain team, so it sets up the rain to help Omastar with Swift Swim and some other stuff. A lot of things on my team can benefit from rain. For one, like Mega Scizor here is my bulky steel type. It's normally only weak to fire, but it makes its 4 times weakness a 2 times weakness, which just helps out its bulk a lot. Zapdos can be run really well offensively in the rain. It can spam Hurricane, Thunder, and click Weather Ball to hit ground types. So that's really good as well. So we have some good things that benefit from rain, not just Swift Swim Omastar, but we can run Swift Swim Omastar, which is going to be great, honestly. And the thing with Pelipper here is, like, I've been playing Draft League for a while now, And I've seen a lot of people draft rain teams, and I think a lot of people just pick Politoed for their rain setter. And like I understand why, because Politoed is almost always cheaper on the tier list, so you can spend less points and still get your rain. But I really want Pelipper over Politoed, and I'm going to explain to you why Pelipper is way better than Politoed in my opinion, and it entirely has to do with defensive utility. Politoed really does not have much defensive utility. It's a very passive, and the thing with Pelipper is it has so much defensive utility. First of all, Pelipper gets U-turn. That's like the biggest thing that sets it aside from Politoed, is that Pelipper can get momentum. It can switch in safely, get up rain, and immediately U-turn out into my Swift Swimmer, and really maximize the rain turns that I can get. That alone is huge, okay? Being able to keep momentum up instead of rain, maximizing rain turns is huge. So U-turn, Pelipper also is a good defogger, alright? Having good defoggers is great. I'm going to take a minute here to highlight all my defoggers. I have one, Pelipper, good defogger, Mega Scizor, good defogger, Zapdos, good defogger, and Latias, good defogger. So my 4 top Pokemon on my team can all function as good bulky defoggers, which is great. I have good hazard control. So Pelipper gets a defog. It can also learn Knockoff, which is a good defensive tool, and it can keep itself healthy with Roost, which is huge. Politoed has to run Rest, which is not great, but Pelipper can just click Roost. Now look, I know Pelipper is 4 times weak to Electric. I know. Bear with me. So yes, a lot of Pokemon can just run Thunderbolt for coverage, okay? All your fighting types can just put on Thunder Punch for Pelipper, okay? I get it. I understand. But I think Pelipper is worth it over Politoed because of all of the utility that it brings. Not to mention that, like, Pelipper is also way better offensively than Politoed. The big thing is that it can just spam Hurricane in the rain without missing, which is huge. Being able to spam Stab Hurricane. I mean, 95 base special attack is nothing to scoff at, and Choice Specs Pelipper sets can be run with Hurricane, Weather Ball, U-turn, just click like nukes, like very unexpected big damage Pelipper can be really good. So offensively, Pelipper can also be really good. And yeah, that's it. I think it's going to be good. I'm excited to use Pelipper. I don't really get to see Pelipper shine that much because I think a lot of people just prefer Politoed, which I just want to make Pelipper shine this season. And I know everyone's going to bring electric coverage. I know it's fine. We're going to play around it. We're going to know it's coming. So, yeah, that's that. So, let's talk about our top tiers. We have Mega Scizor. I'm going to talk about kind of Mega Scizor and Zapdos at the same time here because they both function similar roles in the team, both offensively and defensively. So Mega Scizor is one of the best bulky steel types in the whole format. It's a great pivot because it can switch in, take a hit, and just U-turn out for momentum. And those U-turns pack a punch off of base 150 special attacks, or 150 base attack, stab boosted. You don't even have to invest, and those U-turns will always pack a punch. So it's just great at getting momentum, taking hits because it's only weak to fire. It has a ton of resistances. And so its defensive utility is great. Bullet Punch is fantastic, obviously, for priority. I can always bring Bullet Punch and have priority. It hits pretty hard, too, because of Technician. So, that's it. Another defogger. And same thing goes for Zapdos. I mean, it's a great pivot. I can send it in, take hits, U-turn or Volt Switch out for momentum. Zapdos also has great defensive typing with Electric Flying. It's only weak to, like, Rock, Ice, and that's it, I think. So it has a ton of resistances. It has Static, which is a great ability to deal with physical attackers. Like, they have to risk getting paralyzed when I switch into Zapdos. It just has good natural bulk too. Like, the natural bulk is fantastic. Zapdos is a Gen 1 OG, man. Zapdos is like has been historically one of the best Gen 1 Pokemon competitively. I love it. And it's another great pivot. So I have two very good pivots at the top of my team with Zapdos and Mega Scizor. That's important for just coming in, taking hits, and getting momentum. But the thing is, with Mega Scizor and Zapdos, is they both can fill a defensive role or an offensive role. Mega Scizor with Swords Dance can be super good offensively. Obviously, Bullet Punch, it gets a ton of coverage too now. Close Combat, Dual Wing Beat, Trailblaze, boosted by Technician. So being able to run offensive sets with Mega Scizor can be really good as well. And the same thing goes for Zapdos, because we have Rain. If I want to run an offensive Zapdos, that's actually really scary and really hard for teams to switch into, because it can spam Hurricane accurately. I can even click Thunder accurately if I want to. And Zapdos also gets Weather Ball, which turns into a strong water type attack to hit those ground types. And it makes Zapdos so hard to switch into. It can do so much damage in the rain offensively. And even if we're not in the rain, Zapdos gets a ton of coverage moves between Heat Wave, Extra Sensory, and stuff. So Zapdos is just overall a great Pokemon. I mean, it can come so many. I have used it before in one season, and it's just so good. You can bring it almost every single week. It's hard for teams to deal with because it keeps itself healthy with Roost. And yeah, that's the thing. So Mega Scizor and Zapdos kind of go together pretty well at the top of this team. I can run them either defensively as pivots or just offensively to do damage. And so the next Pokemon after that is Latias, and I can kind of say the same thing about Latias too, which is great. Originally, when I was preparing for my draft, I wanted Archaludon in this slot, but it got sniped for me. You know, Archaludon would have been great because I can just click Electro Shot in the rain. It would have been cool, but there had to be another rain team in the draft, so there was another rain team that sniped my Archaludon, but it's fine. That's the only thing that sniped for me. I got pretty much everything else I wanted. And I'm not really complaining because Latias fits maybe better in this team than Archaludon did. First of all, Latias is the fastest Pokemon on my team at base 110 speed, which is very nice. It can be, with its speed, it can be, you know, just helpful at picking stuff off, revenge killing, it has a ton of good coverage moves too, so depending on what I need to, pick off in the matchup, I can run good coverage moves, or just maybe, Draco Meteor or whatever. And like I said, same thing with Mega Scizor and Zapdos. Latias can be run both defensively or offensively. So like defensive Latias works really well. Like, it's a fast support. It's a cleric. It can use Wish to heal up the team. It can status. It can healing Wish. So it can just be a great fast supporting Pokemon, or it can be a good offensive Pokemon with its wide array of coverage moves. It's also a great Calm Mind setup sweeper, which is awesome. Latias also has a new signature move, I actually don't know when exactly it came out. Signature move called Mist Ball. It's like 95 base power psychic type move that has a 50% chance to drop special attack. It's basically a better Moonblast. So that's just a great move to spam. It's better than psychic, so that's cool. And yeah, I mean, Latias is just going to be good for my team. I think it's good fast support, gives me good speed, special bulk as well to help out with Mega Scizor and stuff. So really nice here. The top 3 Pokemon on my team, like I said, really want to hammer this home. The top 3 Pokemon on my team can fill defensive roles really well and fill offensive roles really well, and that's really what we want in Draft League, is that versatility. And that's why I'm picking these Pokemon at the top, because I can do so many things with them, right? And it just makes prep for my opponents really hard, because you can't prep for a Swords Dance offensive Mega Scizor if you have trouble breaking a bulky defensive Mega Scizor, and vice versa. It goes for everything. Latias is incredibly hard to prep for because it can run so many different sets. People often overlook bulky Calm Mind Latias sets. And, you know, you can provide so much support. So that's really good as well. So, keeping in line here with the bulk now, I want to talk about my next pick, which is Clodsire. And I'm super excited to use Clodsire. I think Clodsire is going to be the defensive glue for my team this season. It's really going to hold my team together. So the thing is, we have Pelipper. We need a good ground type to switch into those electric type moves. Latias helps out with that, definitely, but Clodsire is just great because it just shuts down electric types, right? And that's just great to have with Pelipper because we know everyone's gonna be packing electric coverage. And then on top of that, it's harder to pack coverage for Clodsire. And the thing is, with Clodsire is like it has such good abilities. The thing I want to note is like when you're drafting a Rain team, you have to keep in mind that you're setting up Rain, and Rain can also benefit your opponent's team as well. So your opponent can also have strong water type attackers that are going to be boosted in Rain. So we need something to deal with opposing water types as well. And Clodsire has Water Absorb, which is so good because if I'm up against a strong water type attacker, I need to be able to switch into it in Rain. And just having a Water Absorb Mon is so nice for that. Clodsire also has another great ability in Unaware, which helps my team out a ton. The design of this team is very much bulky balance, bulky offense balance team. I have a lot of bulk in this team. So the thing is with that is like you can sometimes get exploited by setup sweepers. You need to be prepared for setup sweepers. I have a lot of slow bulk on this team, and I need to be prepared for setup sweepers. That's why we have Unaware Clodsire. Unaware Clodsire can stop a lot of setup sweepers from taking over a game and sweeping me. And so that's really good. Clodsire can stop so many things that my team would otherwise be really weak to, which I think is going to be great. Clodsire is also just a great special sponge, and it just adds another big layer of bulk to my team, which is going to be nice. The other thing, Clodsire also spams hazards, Stealth Rock, Toxic Spikes, which is great. It can be a good curse setup sweeper too, especially with Unaware, which is fantastic. The other thing about Unaware too is that, I have Signature Omastar, right? And the thing with Signature Omastar is like people have to prep for Shell Smash every single week. And so there definitely will be weeks where people try to run Mirror Herb to stop Shell Smash. But if we have Unaware Clodsire, we can't get counter-swept by Mirror Herb all the time, right? So that's fantastic too. I need to think about that as well. That angle of like people prepping for Omastar in different ways. Mirror Herb is definitely going to come. I know it. So Unaware Clodsire helps with that. And yeah, not too much else to say there for Clodsire. I mean, just a great defensive bulky backbone for my team. And along that same line of thought, the next Pokemon I want to highlight here, going down a little bit, is Galarian Corsola. Okay, we were reaching the bottom of the draft, and I didn't originally plan on drafting this Pokemon, actually. My draft plan looked a little bit different around the bottom of the team, but I saw Galarian Corsola was only 4 points on the tier list, which I thought was criminally low. For some reason, like, Trinol just overlooks this Pokemon and thinks it's bad, and I don't get it. It should be, like, at least, 7 or 8 points in my opinion, because it is such a bulky defensive sponge. It just eats hits. With Eviolite, those defenses are, well over 400. It is so bulky, and it's so hard to kill, and it gets the best recovery move in the game, which is Strength Sap, so it's very easy to keep itself healthy. And so Galarian Corsola really just that just ties a bow on the bulky defensive core that I've built with this team. Because the thing with Galarian Corsola is it is having this Pokemon on my team to just sponge hits allows the other bulky Pokemon on the top end of my team to fill more offensive roles, like I talked about. Mega Scizor, Zapdos, Latias, they can be great defensively, they can also be good offensively. And if we bring Galarian Corsola, which is just a good defensive sponge, it gives space to allow these Pokemon on the top to run more offensive sets, which is going to be great. So yeah, I mean, Galarian Corsola is not very versatile at all. It actually doesn't do any damage offensively. It gets Nightshade to chip. It can actually kind of be a liability for setup fodder, but it at least gets Haze to phase out setup sweepers. But it at least gets its own reliable recovery with String Sap. And the next thing, the thing I want to highlight to tie this all up is that I have all of these bulky Pokemon here, and they all have their own reliable recovery. Galarian Corsola has Strength Sap, Clodsire has Recover, Pelipper, Latias, Zapdos, and Scizor all have Roost. They can all heal themselves and keep themselves healthy, which just helps so much. So much in playing the long game and keeping my defensive core healthy. So that's really my defensive backbone for my team. The next Pokemon that I want to talk about is Mienshao. So I've built out a lot of bulk for this team, but now we need fast revenge killers. I'm not always going to have Swift Swim Omastar ready, so I need some immediate reliable speed, and I wanted to get a good Choice Scarf Pokemon that I can just run with a Choice Scarf to outspeed things and revenge kill things, and that's Mienshao. Mienshao is a great Choice Scarfer. Choice Scarf, close combat U-turn is like its bread and butter, and it gets a ton of coverage moves too. It gets Ice Spinner or Triple Axle, which is great, Stone Edge, Trailblaze, so a ton of good coverage moves, which is really good. So I can also run wall breaking sets too. If I don't want to run Choice Scarf, I can run this thing with like a Choice Band, and I can run Reckless High Jump Kick, which can nuke, which is awesome. And also its ability is Regenerator, which is great for just keeping itself healthy over the course of a game. And I think that synergizes really well with the bulky defensive core that I've built, sort of playing the long game, being able to take hits and come back in. Regenerator is great for that, because if I need to send out Mienshao to take a hit, I can just regen it off, and I can really keep it around for the length of a long game if I need to. I can run a bulky AV set if I want to. It gets Fake Out for priority. There's a lot of options with this Pokemon, aside from just, being a Choice Scarfer. So I'm excited to really showcase it. I've never used it before, so that should be good. After that, we have Low Kicks. Similarly, alongside Mienshao, just a great revenge killer, right? Mienshao and Low Kicks are two really good revenge killers that I wanted to, just help support the defensive backbone of this team. Low Kicks has so many strong priority moves. That's what makes it so good. It gets Stab, First Impression, and Sucker Punch, and that strong priority is just so good for being able to revenge kill things and just making sure things don't get out of hand, right? And the best part about it is its ability Tinted Lens, which means you can't even resist Low Kicks' priority. You just have to take it. And having that priority on a team like this, I think, is really good. Because, like I said before, at the beginning, in order to check Pokemon like Omastar, people are going to want to bring fast Choice Scarfers. When you double Omastar speed in rain, it can still be outsped by a fast Choice Scarfer. But in order to check those fast choice scarfers, we can bring the priority of low kicks, right? The priority of low kicks will always be faster than the fastest of choice scarfers, which is really good. And the same thing goes for, like, you know, if they want to mirror herb my shell smash, if you mirror herb my shell smash, I still have first impression in the back that you have to survive from low kicks. So that's just some good insurance. Like, having that strong priority on this team is just great, because you can bring the fastest choice scarfers, but we have strong priority that you have to survive, and this defensive team can chip you down over the course of a game to where it'll put you in range of low kicks' priority. And that's really the idea here, is that we have this bulky defensive team. You know, we take opportunities to bring in Omastar offensively, but over the course of the game, we get the chip damage that we need, and when it's time, we can bring out Omastar to maybe punch holes or clean up, and at the very end, we always have low kicks as a form of insurance to be able to take things out and revenge kill things and make sure that we don't lose. It's just going to be a great revenge killer for the team, and I can even run it with a choice scarf too if I wanted. It's not a bad choice scarfer at 92 speed with, U-turn and knockoff, so... yeah, man, the combination of Mian Xiao and low kicks I think is going to be really nice to support this team. We've only got a couple picks left here at the bottom, so let's talk about Shiinotic. For only 4 points on the tier list, I didn't have a fairy type or a grass type, which are two types that would be really nice to have on a team like this, so I figured let's just get Shiinotic. Certainly not the best fairy type, certainly not the best grass type, but for 4 points, I think it can have decent bulk and decent utility. It can be decently bulky, and it gets Strength Sap, another form of reliable recovery to keep itself healthy. And I think the most useful part about Shiinotic is just being able to click Spore. You know, if I want to bring it 1 week, I can click Spore and put something to sleep, and that can be super helpful. So... it's not too much else to say. It can be decently bulky if I want to bring it in the right matchup. Effect Spore is a good ability. It's basically like Zapdos' static, but it can do any status condition 30% of the time on contact moves. It also gets Rain Dish, so if I want to bring it with Pelipper in a Rain team matchup, I can keep itself a little bit healthy with Rain Dish passive recovery. So Shiinotic, hopefully we can utilize it this season and maybe do well with it. The last Pokemon on my team this season is going to be Gumshoos. Originally, for this last pick, for only 2 points, I wanted Beartic. Beartic would have given me a physical Swift Swim attacker, but unfortunately Beartic got sniped, and we have to settle for Gumshoos. This Pokemon... I get it. Look, it's not likable. It's just ugly. It's unlikable. But I don't think it's necessarily bad. And for 2 points, I actually think it can be a decent, cheap wall breaker with 110 base attack, adaptability, or stakeout. I can slap a choice band on it and maybe punch a couple holes in a team. It's not fast, it's not bulky, but having a normal type is nice for ghost types. It definitely helps this team out a little bit versus ghost types, which could be a problem. So I figured, let's just get Gumshoos for 2 points. We can't go wrong at the bottom of the tier list, and so maybe we can make use of it this season. But that's pretty much it, guys. That is the team. In summary, the design of this team is balanced, bulky offense, all centered around Omastar. I want to build a team where, any Omastar set that I choose to bring can shine, whether it be offensive, Swift Swim. I can bring super offensive variant of this team with Pelipper to set up Rain. I can have offensive Omastar, offensive Zapdos, a couple pivots with Scizor, a fast supporting Latias, and really just bring like a super offensive Rain team. Or I can take a step back and I can bring more of a bulky balanced version of this team where I don't even bring Pelipper. Maybe I choose to leave Pelipper on the bench and I just bring like Scizor, Zapdos, Clodsire, and I have a setup Shell Smash variant of Omastar. And maybe I play the long game where I stall for a little bit, wait for the right opportunity to get Omastar in, and then I Shell Smash Weak Armor and try to sweep. So there's a lot of options I have for this team, and that's sort of what I wanted to go for. This is actually the first time that I've ever drafted Rain in my draft league career. So the idea is that, you know, I wanted a Rain team that is not heavily reliant on Rain, and has its own strengths outside of Rain. And I think I can achieve that because this team can do a lot without bringing Pelipper and without relying on Rain. And I think a lot of teams that draft Rain struggle to do that. They kind of, you know, design themselves around being too reliant on Rain, and I didn't want that. Obviously, like, Pelipper is great, and I can bring Pelipper, and it's a good Pokemon, but I can leave it on the bench too. And, like, it doesn't hurt Omastar, it doesn't hurt any Pokemon on this team, really. Like, they can all still do really well without the Rain support, but the Rain support opens up so many doors for them to run more creative and offensive sets, where it just synergizes so well, I feel like. And so, yeah, hopefully Omastar can do well. Omastar is the centerpiece this season. This season, the whole mantra of this team is put some respect on Omastar, people, alright? Omastar, it is time for Omastar to shine, okay? And with that, I'm just going to wrap up there, I think. I don't know how often I'm going to upload battles this season. After last season I uploaded, I got kind of burnt out of uploading constantly, so I kind of told myself this season I was going to throttle back with uploading. I think honestly the main thing is like editing, which I hate. So doing like the intro and the team builder explanation at the beginning of my videos and then editing that in is just so much extra time that I don't want to do. So I might try to just like go back to my old style of recording battles, where I just record only the battle and upload only the battle, because that's honestly the part that I enjoy. I don't really care to do all the additional explanation, even though maybe it makes for a more quality video. Sometimes it's just too much for me, and I don't enjoy it. It starts to become a chore. I also might not upload every single battle this season. I kind of wanted to take this season easy on me. I might upload battles here and there if I find the time, if I just choose to record it. But I'm not setting a standard that I'm going to upload every single battle this season, but I probably will upload something in regard to the season at some point, so you can probably expect something after this. I don't know, but I'm not setting any expectations, so we'll see what happens. But yeah, I guess I will leave it there. I don't have anything else to say, but thank you guys for tuning in. I hope you like this team. I hope it can do well this season. I'm pretty excited to use it, honestly. I think it's going to be pretty good. And yeah, I will see you next time I see you. Goodbye.